Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex, and today we are doing a Shadowland villain-only full clear. That's 30 stages using only villains. Now, of course, my roster is extremely powerful, so this is not going to be too much of a challenge for me, but it's still really fun, and it's still nice to do because, for one, I get to do a themed clear of Shadowland, which I always enjoy, and for two, you guys get to see good villains for a game mode that really does prioritize villains generally, and one that does punish you a lot if you don't have any villains. So you'll be able to see villains that are successful in this game mode, and why they're successful, or in some cases with characters like MODOK, why they're not successful. And you'll also be able to check out the builds, check out the skill rotations, and generally get some ideas for how you're going to approach things if you take them on yourself. We're going to web here. I think we got this one in the bag. Yep. Nice. And there we go. Stage 1 is complete. Definitely one of the challenges of a Shadowland villain-only solo clear is going to be stages 15 and 25, because those stages, both of them, require you to use heroes. So you do have to be rather careful. Oh, I got bled by Gamora. Let's see if I'm going to be able to survive this one. Usually you have to very carefully plan out your teams so that you don't use specific characters that you will need to use for later. And this is a really close clear if I'm actually able to get this one. This is about as close as it gets. Ooh. Oh, wow. Come on, come on, come on, come on. No! Oh, wow. Don't do this. Don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. Yes, I got this. Yes. Rhino. Yes. And Rhino clears it with so little health to spare. Stage 3, we're looking at Big Thanos. Or, sorry. Idiot. Moron lips. Stage 3, we're looking at Ronin versus Ronin. The Ronin-off. And, Ronin, if you guys don't know, one of my favorite characters in this game. One of my first tier 2s, and one of my most regretful tier 2s, yeah. Definitely a labor of love and not one of efficiency, but he still gets it done on low Shadowland stages and even at tier 1. And I'll try to highlight for you characters that don't necessarily need their tier 2 to be able to do well in Shadowland. I think in the case of Rhino on the last stage, he needed his tier 2 insofar as he needed more defense and he needed more health. So I don't know, you could have done that at tier 1, of course, if you didn't take as much damage as I did, if you timed the iframe on his 5th skill with his invincibility, but I definitely used his 5-second invincibility obelisk as a kind of a window, a gap in between his iframes to keep him safe. But Ronin gets this done easily and in style. I believe a lot of you guys are surprised to realize that I tier 2'd Maximus. And I actually did so for Giant Boss Raid, believe it or not. I wanted to see if his extra damage against machines would actually come in handy against the Giant Boss Raid, because that raid uses Giant, Master Mold and the Sentinels, and those are machine types. I can tell you with a top 500 Maximus with a CTP and 4-star Uru that, no, Maximus does extremely low damage against Giant Boss Raid, even with a very powerful team, even using, a good leadership and also taking advantage of a buff from someone like Shuri. He still can't do it. So unless Maximus is, one of your top 5 favorite characters, I would recommend not investing in him at tier 2. Maybe one day we'll have a Inhumans special mission reward where you have to tier 2 him. Until then, stay far, far away. But he does get it done, and he could probably have gotten this done at tier 1. Mysterio is another one of those characters that I initially thought was bad, but actually is pretty good. And he's good because he has so many iframes. And so you can basically chain those iframes. Well, I'm not doing a good job of it right now, and I canceled that skill way too early. I'm a little bit rusty on his rotation. It's 1, 5, 3, 4. And you let the 4th skill hold until the end, until he jumps down. 1 and 5. 1 you cancel pretty early into 5. 3 you cancel right away after he jumps back. But you let 5 and 4 ride out because you want that full Spirit Bomb damage, and you want the full iframe of watching him select whether you're going to get punched in the face by boxes or have rockets, or I don't remember what the last one is. Flames, I guess. Oh, the little explosion presents that come down from the sky like Fortnite boxes. There we go. I said Fortnite. Turn off the video. Moving on to stage 6, I want to give a shout out to Lizard because he's bad and he doesn't get any love anymore. But I still like him. He's got a couple of iframes. He's cool to play. And there's an old meme about him being Big Sonic. He looks really cool though. I like the fact that he gets bigger with his 5th skill. If Venom ever got a rework, for those of you that are big Venom fans, I really would want Venom to get a rework where he can make himself bigger with one of his skills. I think that's a really underrated effect to have, and I swear if you web me up, Peter, I'm gonna kill Uncle Ben again. I'm gonna come back to life, and I'm gonna kill Uncle Ben again. I am. I promise you I will. I really want to stun him. Yeah, it really comes down to whether or not Spider-Man is super annoying. That's what makes this stage difficult, but we got it. Lizard can do a much higher stage at tier 2, so he could probably do this stage for you at tier 1 if you're careful, or if you give him a good obelisk. I got dodge, recovery, invincibility, which is very good. There are very few speed villains, so I do want to highlight them as much as possible, and I know you guys are aware of Ghost already, but she's a paintwall, so we're going to investigate a couple of the other ones. One of them being one of my favorites, and who kind of looks like me, is Kraven. And so we're going to be doing a clear here with Kraven, and even with a defensive build, he does pretty respectable damage. He's got 3 iframes, which makes him pretty hard to hit, and he's got a stun on his 2nd skill where he throws these bolas, so he's got some nice crowd control. I think he's really meant to be kind of an easy mode Shadowland clear type character. I'm making mistakes, and even then I can make up for them because of his great CC. I can kind of interrupt her here, I can then stun her here. He's got movement speed down. He's got a lot of different effects that make him a nice Shadowland clear character. He's got the laser nips, and you can see this is just kind of pressing buttons and things happening, and Wasp basically can't do much and she's dead. So yeah, there we go. Kraven, pretty decent. Probably could do this at tier 1 if you played a bit more carefully. Invincibility is probably a good idea. One member of the Sinister Six deserves another, so now we're going to do a little highlight of Sandman. For Sandman, 4 into 5, and then 3 and then 1 is probably a really nice rotation. You can splash in 2 because it's got really good damage. You just need to be careful of the positioning of the characters, but I just love the animation. And you can cancel his 5th skill right away and leave that giant sand monster up to deal damage. But he's super tanky, especially for a low stage like this. He's got physical immunity that he grants himself on his 3rd skill, so you can use that to your advantage. And with all these iframes and all this CC, it's basically impossible for him to take too much damage. And even if he does take damage, his 5th skill drops, or is it his 5th skill? No, when he gets hit, I think, he drops these little sand eggs, and you can collect them, kind of like Anti-Venom. Not good as a support character, but it's good for him. For stage 9, we're going to go at this with Supergiant. You guys probably forgot who this character is, so I'm going to remind you. This character is from the Black Order. However, she wasn't featured in Infinity War, and that's why you're probably confused on the screen right now. You've probably never played with her or played against her in World Boss Ultimate, but she does exist. She is a real character, and she's got a pretty interesting skill set. She summons Black Bolt, so you have a nice clone there to distract from you. He has HP, he takes damage, he takes aggro away, and unless she dies here, oh boy, she actually does pretty decent damage with her 5th skill, and she used to be a character that you actually did need to rely on for some world boss clears, and she was especially good as a striker because of that insane damage. But now she's kind of fallen behind in terms of her usefulness, in terms of her usability. Of course, the damage doesn't help. The general skill effects that aren't that good don't help her either. And please don't die, please don't die, please don't die. Oh, I interrupted his iframe, and I did this one, and hopefully he's gonna die now. No, please die. I was using the invincibility there. Yeah, 5, 4, and 3 are her go-to skills. 1 and 2, little bit dicey, but she also has silence as an effect, so that can come in clutch in the moment. Stage 10, we're going to take Ultron and send him out against his Ultrons. I think it's really funny. and he's actually a really good character for Shadowland now. Being a universal villain gives him a lot of flexibility. The fact that he has multiple iframes now, he has a guard hit on his 4th skill that applies to his clones, and yeah, he's a lot better for Shadowland. Definitely the survivability is bumped up, and even the damage is bumped up to the point where you can pretty easily take on a multitude of enemies by yourself, and he can tank. He can definitely tank. Not perfectly, as you can see. I am taking damage. I'm not playing without mistakes, without errors, but you can see even with errors, you can. Oh boy. Okay. Just want to make sure we don't speak too soon here. We want to get down to the last Ultron. Once it becomes a one-on-one, it's basically over because he's never going to be able to summon his clones because he's constantly being guard broken. And then it's just kind of whittling him down. And we got it. So there you go. Ultron. Probably can do this at tier 1. Just play a little bit more safely. Stage 12, we're jumping in with Titania. I'm not sure if it's stage 12, it might be stage 11, but the mini Sharon Rogers doesn't disappoint. She buffs herself up with her own leadership. She's got cool animations, and yeah, it's basically a super easy clear because she has 5 seconds of immunity. She's got a long iframe. Even though I'm messing up her rotation right now, I'm doing the 3rd skill way too early, or I'm doing the 5th skill way too early after the 3rd skill. I should do it at the end there so that you can channel her iframe from her 5th skill into her 3rd skill. And then keep going there to protect herself. But she's got a long stun as well on her 5th skill, which allows it to always connect. And so you can basically do 3, 4, or 3, 1, 2, 4, 5 as your rotation. Should be a pretty easy way to just dominate a stage. And she can definitely do a higher stage than this, even at tier 1. Definitely at tier 2, she can go up into the probably late teens, early 20s, depending on how offensive your build is. Very fun character to play. Pretty strong leadership as well. That was stage 11. This is stage 12, and I'm taking advantage of the destroyer stage that we got, which is of course perfect for villains, but also perfect for undervaluable or like weaker characters. Sorry, characters like Bullseye, who are generally going to struggle on the majority of stages. Yes, you could try to use him for something like a Rocket Raccoon stage, or a stage that requires ignore dodge, or just as a leadership. But if you only have him available, you can take advantage of these stages because generally the destroyers are weaker. They don't do much damage with their skills, and as you can see, if you guard break one, you can guard break them both. And so he's able to do this. Can he do this at tier 1? Maybe. You can see I did it very quickly, and I don't have a very good build for Bullseye. I think he has a 3-star obelisk, so it is possible. Stage 13 now, and like Maximus, I bet you guys didn't know, a lot of you guys on YouTube, that I tier 2'd Kingpin. That's right, I tier 2'd the guy from Daredevil who looks amazing in that show and does absolutely nothing in this game. And I basically tier 2'd him because of Giant Boss Raid. He popped up as a character that was requested for the additional bonus, and I decided, what the hell, it would be very funny to do this, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to clear this stage with him because he's taking a lot of damage. But if you can chain his stuns, and if you can use the guard break on his abilities, he's got a stun on his 4th skill. If you can use the guard break ability as well as his clones, not clones, but his summons, it is very helpful to. No, I think Jane Foster's gonna kill me here. Oh, maybe not. You know what? If we can get her now, I think we might have this. Get the stun in. We got 3 seconds of stun. We just gotta overwhelm her with damage. And I'm actually going to pop the stun and then summon the clones. And that's actually a really important difference maker for Kingpin if you're trying to use him. Definitely wait to use the stun if you're not about to kill them, because you need the stun to guarantee. If you try to do the clones first and then the stun, you can die casting the clone skill. So there you go. Tier 2 Kingpin, actually useful. Stage 14 now, getting a little bit more challenging for solo villains, but in this case we have Ulysses Claw. A little pro tip for physical reflect stages: the physical reflect only applies when they hit you, when they actually hit you. So if you iframe, or if you manage to dodge all of their attacks, you won't get reflected. Or if you're iframing when they reflect, it also doesn't do any damage. So you can get by it, and you can kind of cheat in that sense. Now that we've reached stage 15, we've hit the first major roadblock, which is a only choice stage where you don't have any options, and where the option presents itself for heroes having an advantage. Because of that, you want to take advantage of a couple of different tricks in Shadowland that will let you kind of bypass this without using a hero. Let's say you only have villains, or you only want to use villains. You can use villains like Thanos, who can remove the active buffs from the enemy, which would remove the hero only requirement, and it would allow Thanos to do damage to the heroes. You can also use characters that have additional damage dealt against superhero types, in the same way that Miles Morales has his tier 2 passive that gives 120% additional damage against super villains, allowing Miles Morales to do villain-only stages. Characters like Malekith with an increased damage against superheroes, or for example Yellow Jacket's uniform, allows them to do these stages with some degree of success so that they'll do more than 1 damage. You can also use characters that have specific typing buffs. So I'm going to try it out. I'm going to show you guys Magneto. In Magneto's case, he has additional damage against humans. And so because of that, he's able to attack all of these characters and do damage to them. And he can avoid that 1 damage penalty, which reduces all of your damage to 1 if you're not meeting the criteria for the stage. So you do have to be a bit creative. You do have to look into tier 2 passives, 4-star passives, uniform effects, and things like that in order to kind of overcome some of these challenges from time to time. And you definitely have to pay attention to all of the battle tips in Shadowland if it's your first time playing, or if you're finding that your characters are doing 1 damage. But it's really cool to find little tricks like this, little kind of shortcuts, because you end up being able to use characters that you didn't think you could use. Did you imagine I would use Magneto on a hero-only stage? I didn't think so, but I can. So because of that, we're having a problem. However, we can't do any damage. Why are we doing no damage now? I'm doing 1 damage to all of them. So none of these people are typed as humans. That's really bizarre. It seems like it's only applicable on the first half of the stage. In the second half of the stage, it's not applicable. That's really weird. I don't know why that happened. I'm pretty sure Kate Bishop's a human, and I just killed Hawkeye. So I'm not sure what's going on there. We're going to have to try this out with a different character. So we're going to go ahead and use Corvus. With his Infinity War uniform, he has 15% increased damage against superheroes. That 15% should be enough to allow him to do enough damage. It's going to be in the kind of low thousands, but if you stack all that up, or if you buff up Corvus to be strong enough on his own, he can definitely do enough damage. Unlike someone like Malekith or Yellow Jacket, however, he doesn't suffer from the typing penalty, being blast or speed or combat versus the opposite typing. He's universal, so he has a bonus against all of them, and that allows him to do this stage more successfully and more kind of consistently, with his damage not being reduced at all. So I would recommend saving some of these universal villains that have that buff for these later stages if you want to do this for stage 25, for stage 15, and for any other stages where it might end up giving you only hero options. But looks like we're going to be able to clear this one. The nice thing about Corvus, he's also really good to build up for other game modes, and so because of that, no, I'm still doing 1 damage. I'm not really sure what's going on here, but I'm not able to clear this stage again for the exact same reason. This is so fucking stupid. Wait, what? Now I'm doing full damage? What? This makes no sense at all. What? I'm doing full damage and then I'm not doing full damage? He doesn't have a debuff. Is it my clones that are doing full damage? I think it is. Let's just see if we can ride this out and actually win. We haven't done any damage to, yeah, I think it's the clones. Wow. So the clones are doing full damage even though he's not. This is so bizarre. It's not bizarre, but I don't think we're going to be able to do it though. I think we're going to run out of time. Oh, maybe not. Oh, this is going to be so close. Can you do it? Can you guys do it, please? We got it. Yes, we did it. And I had the mouse in the way. That's amazing. So yeah, I even paused it. Bit of awkward recording there, but we got it. Dope. I think it was the clones. So basically what happened there, in the first half of the fight, he was able to take advantage of his increased damage. So he was doing all the damage. Corvus was doing all the damage to Iron Man, Hawkeye, and Captain America. Even I didn't know that was going to happen. But in the second half of the fight, for some reason, it reapplies the hero tag and it doesn't allow Corvus's 15% damage to overwrite that. So I would have to use the clones. And for those of you that are wondering, in any Shadowland stage, whether you're using a tier 2 or a tier 1 character, Corvus doesn't have tier 1, but still, the clones will always do 100% damage. The clones are never penalized or punished by the constraints of the stage. So if it says villains only, you can bring in a hero that has a hero clone or a hero summon, and that hero summon will do full damage. So for example, Kid Kaiju and Crusher or Smasher or whatever his name is, Hyvo, and so on and so forth. So you can take advantage of the clones because they're not under the same restrictions as the base character is. And even at tier 1, if you're facing off against tier 2 opponents, stage 25 and up, they will also do full damage. So that was the first 15 stages. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know who you expect to see in the last 15 stages. Subscribe if you enjoyed the content and you want to support me. And of course, if you like what you see, I hope to see you again tomorrow. Take care.